Welcome to ACT Fitness Radio, the podcast teaching you to aspire, conquer, and transform your body and mind. Here's your host, Adam Castro.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm here with Jaylene.
Hey.
And you are listening to ACT Fitness Radio.
Yeah.
Coming to you from Whittier, California. As you may know, especially from our last episode, I've been training for Spartan races. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I realized early on was that all of the winners of these Spartan races and even obstacle course racing like American Ninja Warrior, all of these athletes were spending time in a rock climbing facility. Bouldering facilities, indoor rock climbing, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so we made it our goal to find a rock climbing or bouldering facility near us.
Absolutely.
And we stumbled upon the Factory Bouldering.
Yes, it is in Orange, California.
Mm-hmm. And as you know, we've mentioned it multiple times. We've enjoyed our time there. And today, you will be hearing from Matthew Yeowmans, the general manager at the Factory Bouldering. Yes. And he's just an awesome guy.
Super chill,
super honest. And you're going to hear him talk about how the Factory Bouldering got started, how he got started at the Factory Bouldering. And he gave us some awesome, super helpful tips in performing with rock climbing and bouldering and treating it not just like a fun event to go to and for a birthday party or anything like that. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But honestly, tips that are going to help you know what kind of nutrition that you need to be focused on for rock climbing, what kind of mindset you need to have, what you should be doing with your body, how you can implement it as a source of fitness for your body when you're already going to the gym, things like that. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Here's our talk with Matthew Yeowmans. So I'm really curious, is like rock climbing time similar to like Costa Rica time, where it's like,
yes,
you know,
absolutely.
whenever it ends up happening, it happens, and no one's going to be too worried if someone's running like 5 minutes late or.
Oh no, yeah, we're used to it at this point.
I noticed that since Factory opens up at like 9 a.m., like most gyms are open at like 6 a.m. Is there like no one who wakes up at 6 a.m. and thinks like, I want to climb at 6 a.m.?
There's people who say they do and then they never show up. We used to open at 11. That's because we all wanted to sleep in and relax, and then eventually some people complained and we started opening up at 9, and now no one shows up. So it's
oh my gosh. Oh
yeah. People show up, but it's just, everyone's like, yeah, we want earlier open times, and they can't get out of bed. So
it's really funny.
Yeah.
Rock climbers for you.
And I'm sure, and it stays open really late too, 11 p.m.
Packed at 11.
That's something that we've really enjoyed because
so grateful for that.
Yeah, especially as like trainers, we end up training till, you know, as late as people will stay up. So sometimes we're here until like 9 or 10, and it's nice to be able to drive over and get that either last half an hour if we're lucky. Yeah. We try to go at least 2 hours. Or at the most, sorry, at the most 2 hours.
But we're always late, so, you know.
But we are always late, unfortunately.
At rock climber time. Yeah.
So, hey, introduce yourself.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Matt Yeowmans. I'm the general manager at the Factory Bouldering in Orange.
And how long have you been managing that?
I've been managing about 2.5 years, and I've worked there for 4.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. What did you do before?
Before, I actually worked at Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
And I helped kids make toy cars.
That is awesome.
So I had
Where do they do that?
This place called Ride Makers. Rest in peace. People, they would show up. It was like a Build-A-Bear for boys, and so
okay,
yeah, and they'd pick out cars and they build it, which sounds really cool and it was really fun for the kids, but for the parents, it was extremely expensive.
Oh, I bet.
Well,
so
Disneyland.
Salesman,
sure.
Was this a car that you could drive?
Yeah, it was
like
a
when you
remote
turn 18.
car, yeah.
Okay, no.
That's,
Just kidding.
That'd be sweet.
Because then it would make sense if it were expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, sad. R.I.P.
That's really cool though.
That
They
is
could make
cool.
race cars that they could actually drive with remote control, and that's like that sounds so like Toy Story.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Completely
what ended up happening?
different.
Why did it end
It
up?
flopped.
Oh man.
It was not a good business model, and you know, it's very expensive. And
Did people
But
want
so
to
is
make more
Build-A-Bear. I
bears
don't
than
understand. Yeah.
yeah, and I
cars?
think downtown Disney wanted to put a brewery there, so at least they switched it up with some beer and put something we can all enjoy. It's
definitely better for the
Forget
kids.
the kids.
Yeah, right.
No, that's cool. Okay, so
Wow, completely different from Disneyland to Factory. Wow, what a difference. Cool.
So what made you, did you end up leaving your old job, or was just Factory just an opportunity that you had seen and it was like, hey, I'll jump into that?
So when I was working at Disneyland, I started rock climbing.
Okay.
And I started climbing at the Factory, and I was just there literally every day.
Okay.
And so there was a job opening. I applied, didn't think I was going to get it, got it, and
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and I asked the owners, I was like, hey, I would love to focus full time here and just be here and dedicate all my time to it, because it was obviously way more fun and a passion of mine. So
you had started climbing while working at Disneyland. So how long have you been climbing?
It's been 6 years.
6 years in total.
6 years, yeah. And I probably got into fitness like a year and a half before that. So it's been about 7.5 years altogether.
So with getting into fitness, what were some of the things that you were doing even before you were climbing?
Mostly, I got really into compound lifting.
Okay.
So like squats, deadlifts, overhead press. Was really into that type of stuff.
Awesome.
And would go to a commercial gym that's open 24 hours. That I'm not going to say the name of, but I would go there, and I realized very quickly it was just kind of like a community where you don't really talk about what you're doing with other people. It's kind of everyone has their headphones in, they're doing what they do, and you show up, no one's there to help you, no one's there to spot you. So
no, when you started this journey, were you just kind of thinking everyone else is doing compound lifts, so I'm going to start doing it, or did you have like a friend who kind of brought you in, was like, these are the important lifts that you should be doing? And
I'm a huge computer nerd. Okay. So Google everything.
Yeah.
Reddit everything. Found fitness subreddit and heard about starting strength. One of the classic textbooks.
And that's like the best.
Yeah,
that's one of the best things that you could find in order to build that good general strength.
And all about form.
Yeah,
and focusing on that. And so that was really cool, and I was really excited about it. But I didn't really have a community or anyone to talk about it with. Mm-hmm. And so as my lifts were kind of declining and I wasn't progressing, I started doing accessory lifts like pull-ups, dips, any sort of calisthenics.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then eventually my buddy who lived in Yosemite for 5 years, he kind of came to me and he's like, why don't you try rock climbing? And I thought rock climbing gyms were like a place where you go to have a birthday party. I didn't realize...
like Sky Zone?
Yeah, exactly. Or like a trampoline park or something. I thought I thought it was like a corporate, like Girl Scout event place. And I was like, what do they do? Like, what are they training for? And he's like, to go outside and rock climb. And everything was new to me. I was like, that's
a real thing?
Yeah.
To climb on rocks?
Seriously, yeah.
So I went on Yelp and I looked up rock climbing, and the Factory was 2 miles away from my house, and it had opened up 3 months ago. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll check this out.
Yeah.
And I immediately canceled my other gym membership, and it was just a completely
different experience. That's because they got you covered with the swole. What is it? The
swole corner. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
How was the process in canceling your other gym membership? Smooth?
Very smooth.
What?
No, they always try to fight and keep you there.
You're pulling my leg. Ain't no way.
I just had to cancel again recently. The same gym.
Oh, really?
And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Because they always try to get you to stay. And I was like, "Oh, I'm moving to Asia indefinitely, so I'm never coming back." And right there, they can't really say anything. So,
well, once they know that they're not going to get any money from you, because even we won't go deep into this or anything, but it's nice to know that. A gym like the Factory Bouldering or a center like the Factory Bouldering isn't like hungry for money, trying to take money from you, but it's almost blatant when you go to a facility and they're like, but what if you're going to end up coming in once a week, or, but what if you come in once every other, like they just want that monthly income. To just come in, they need that revenue to be there.
It's scary,
and they actually care less if you actually come.
Right? No, they make money off the people who don't come.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I had a guy one time. He came out of the facility, literally begging me. He's like, "Can you please just give me one of your friends' phone numbers? Can you just anyone? My boss is going to kill me. I need to make a sale." And I was just like, "Dude, I just came to work out." Like,
yeah.
He looked like he was going to cry. I was like, "Okay, yeah." At our gym. I mean, of course, everyone wants a revenue. We want to make profit. We want to expose people to rock climbing. But at the end of the day, if you don't come in and you're not passionate about the sport, we really don't need you in there. I mean, we want people who are like really driven, self-driven, and want to improve themselves. Those are the people who make the community better.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be on our hands and knees trying to get memberships for people who don't want to be there.
Well, and the cool thing is that when you create that kind of a community and environment, then you get people like freaking Kenny, who's this awesome, cool dude who we get to see a lot of the time, and you want to have a relationship with that kind of a person. You want to go and say hi, like when they're walking around encouraging people left and right, you want to like be closer to someone like that and be someone like that, and then it causes you to want to encourage other people, and it just facilitates a community of brotherhood and a family, and that's far better than some salesperson coming up to you trying to get more money from you and then trying to be your friend for the sake of making a sale and all that stuff.
No, I appreciate that. It shows how serious you are too. You don't want people who don't want to be there,
Right. Yeah.
And then, I feel like that really establishes an understanding with people to understand that it's serious. You know, if you want to be here, then we want you here. But if not, then go do your thing.
Go find something else you're passionate about.
Yeah, for sure.
So since you said that when you had joined the factory, that the factory had opened 2 years or 2 months?
It was open for 3 months.
3 months.
When I found it.
And so relatively new. You really got to know the owners then pretty well. How are they? I haven't even seen. I don't think we've ever seen them.
You probably haven't. They live in Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Louie and Valerie, both of which are legends in the climbing community, whether or not they admit it. They're just awesome people, and they've always, they opened this gym. You guys don't remember this, but the factory was almost as big as this facility here. It was really small, and we eventually expanded and grew. But working for them and working with them and just being their friends, it's always been about how can we be better at what we do, whether it's climbing or whether it's providing a facility experience for our community. It's always been self-improvement. So working with them, it's taught me a lot, and it's also just been really fun because we're always trying to push the boundaries of what can we do better as a gym, what can we do better as people, how can we be more professional, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting,
and it's cool too because even in the I don't know if you would call it the tagline or the theme of the gym, like building better climbers, right? Building better climbers can be translated as we're building a community of climbers and also the individual, and I think it speaks to both of those things, is like we are collectively trying to build a better person to anyone who wants to come in here and become a better person, whether it's to be a better climber or, like, for me, I came in to do Spartan races and I realized that my grip strength totally sucked. And so for me, the first thing I'm thinking of is like these obstacle course racing people, these American Ninja Warriors and Spartan racers. Like, if you look at their Instagrams, they're spending a lot of time in bouldering and indoor rock climbing gyms. And I'm like, all right, well, if that's the step that I need to take in order to increase in that, then let's do it. Yeah. And then we just got opened up to this huge family of people who some go to climb to become actual athletes in climbing. Some go for we met other people who do Spartan races, and then others. And what we've come to realize is that it's just an amazing release and fun time of conquering things and realizing that you're capable of doing more than what you thought.
Pushing the boundaries and everything that Factory provides, and that is not just something that you see going on behind the scenes, but there's an entire wall dedicated to that, right? I don't even know specifically what it's called, but you can put like your comments up on
like the suggestion board.
It's apparent, and it's just so obvious, that
we do our best to listen and give back to our community and just make it literally a place that feels like home. That's what it's always felt like to me. And going back to what you said about not just building better climbers, but building better humans in a weird sense. That's not our goal per se, but it is kind of like a unintended side effect of just being a part of a community that's loving, being passionate about a sport that improves yourself. And I know me personally, before I ever got into rock climbing, I was just kind of lost in general and didn't really want to, didn't do fitness for like the right reasons. I just wanted to do it because and for novelty and like vanity reasons. Then finding the Factory and drilling in this idea of self-improvement in everything you do, learning how to fail while rock climbing, learning how to deal with accomplishments while rock climbing. All of it is kind of like this microcosm for just being a better person in general, learning how to deal with plateaus and failure.
There's so many ways that rock climbing can translate to real life. One of the first couple weeks that we started rock climbing, we actually started in January of this year.
Wow!
So we're still relatively
very young.
And there was and we learned very quickly we can't rock climb every day when when we're just starting off.
Gosh.
And there was one route that I really wanted to get that was a red tag, and I was like close to getting to the top, and I tried, and I had no business trying to do a red tag at that point.
Sure.
And I learned that after this, but I just tried, and then when the route got switched, I was like, oh wow, I am never gonna see that route ever again. I was just like, wow, I'm never going to see that route ever again. Like, even if I see the actual grip holds somewhere else on there'll be remnants of it reminding me that I'll never see that route again, but I'll probably never ever see that specific route ever again.
Yeah.
And I failed it, and it's just gone. And
probably
I feel,
have nightmares about it.
I know, right? Just nightmares in my dreams. Like, no, I'm just kidding. But it just teaches you, like, even if this opportunity in this door closes,
right,
that's okay.
Yeah,
we still have other opportunities, and it's all going to create that same kind of growth that this route would as well. And you have to be okay with letting go of
pride.
Yeah, definitely of pride.
Yeah.
Like you have to accept that failure and accept it as something that still helped you to get stronger.
Right.
That route still helped me to get stronger for future routes. Mm-hmm. And eventually, now I am able to challenge myself on red tags and able to do better climbing. And it was not that failure that was going to hold me back, but that failure that was going to just propel me to try harder later on and to be wiser about how I tried it.
Yeah. And the mental thing is a big thing too.
Yeah.
Getting that mentality, that confidence of, oh, I almost got my first red tag, opens up so many doors that a lot of people don't realize. And not only did you get physically stronger in that moment of time, but you gain confidence. And I really feel like that spills over into real life type of stuff. What
do you think is the biggest reason why someone would come into a rock climbing gym?
Well,
nowadays now that you see,
I mean, it's all over Instagram. If your buddy goes rock climbing for the first time, even post a video of him doing a white tag or a V0, which is the really easy stuff. You could get 200 likes and people saying, "Oh man, you look like Spider-Man," and that exposure alone through social media has been so insane.
Yeah,
and like you said, an American Ninja Warrior. I mean, everyone who I say, I work at a rock climbing gym, they're like, "Oh, so are you an American Ninja Warrior?" And it's like, no, I hate running, so I'm not. I'm just a rock climber. So, but it's really cool. I mean, we're starting. We're going to get in the Olympics soon, and the exposure's raising. So I think a lot of people come in and they see it as a cool activity to do. I'm not doing anything on Saturday. Do you want to go try rock climbing? And they come in to do it for fun. Yeah. And there's people who do it for fun once, take the Instagram picture, they're gone for good, never see them again. And there's the people like me, for example, who just got in there and I was like, I love doing this. I love the motion of climbing. I love the challenge. Yeah. I love the accomplishment. Last week I did a green tag. This week I did a red tag. You see the improvement, and there's a value on it. Yeah. Like different levels. And I think part of that's addicting for a lot of people. Yeah. And you want to come back and you're like, you know what? Next month I want to do a blue tag. And like you set these goals for yourself. It's very addicting.
And I think when you get so many people at so many different levels all together, and even in the same place, like you guys do a really good job of putting the white tags right next to a green tag or right next to a blue tag. So like it's never like the red tag and the blue and the orange tag people are all, which are we're saying all these tag numbers. So the very difficult routes are in the corner over here, and you're not going to ever see them. Like, no, they're right next to the people who are just starting off, and so you get this, that same kind of family environment to where you are right next to that person who's maybe been coming for 5 years, and this other person who's been coming for like 5 days, and you get exposed to those people. And you get to learn, you get to see, you get to be encouraged and all those things, and it's just a really cool aspect of climbing.
It is very humbling. It's no matter what difficult level people are, for the most part, if they're not a jerk, they're going to be there and they're going to help you out. And I know, I've been climbing for 6 years, and I still love to watch new climbers and be like, I've never forced advice on them, but if they want to learn and they come to me asking questions, I love to show them what I learned. Yeah. because it's easy to look at someone and be like, oh, he's been climbing for 6 years. He must have started off really good. I did not. I was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Couldn't keep my feet on the wall. Cuts in my hands, cuts on my knees, just terrible technique. And
would you do it? Would you muscle yourself up a lot?
Absolutely, yeah, 100% muscle, no technique whatsoever. And
I think that's common from anybody who comes from like being in the gym and then going into rock climbing. They just want to use their biceps for everything.
And I thought, I could do pull-ups. I'll be a rock climber. And then you learn very early on. It's like it's just not about the pole strength all the time. It's about foot tension and core strength and
manipulating your body, pulling in this direction,
leg movements, and so you get humbled really quick. I see a lot of guys who come from a fitness background, and I'm sure they could bench press hard, or maybe they could do a bunch of muscle ups and push or pull ups, but they get on that wall and their feet are flailing everywhere. They're just trying to muscle through everything, and it's funny because they come in very confident and then they walk away like, wow, this is very humbling. And because a lot of people look at it and it's like a silly looking sport, and the colored rocks and your body's flailing around, but it's extremely difficult.
But it is a sport,
and it is
an absolute sport. And we really appreciate seeing all of the different opportunities that the factory has created to kind of bring the sport out with the different competitions that we've seen. And we just got done with the competition. So talk about that. What was the competition called?
Crush Comp.
Awesome.
Did you guys compete?
We did not compete, unfortunately.
No.
You should have been there.
I think
we should have. We
absolutely should have been there. And I was training for a Spartan race, and I think the Spartan race was the week right after. So I had kind of taken a break from almost everything,
good call.
And just kind of let my body recover from that. But how many people were there?
I think altogether we had 170 competitors, and then on top of that, probably another, I don't know, anywhere from 50 to 60 spectators.
So how would a competition like this be conducted in the beginning rounds? What would somebody go through?
So there's a qualification round, and then this specific comp we had a finals round. So qualification is open to all levels, whether you can climb a ladder or whether you're a professional athlete, which we had a few there that day.
People who climb ladders or professional athletes?
Both.
Okay.
I'm the ladder climber, and there were some athletes there too. And so it's really free range. It's not it's very low pressure. You go, you climb your routes, you have a scorecard. People sign off on your scorecard, and you get a certain value of points.
Okay.
And so there's beginner, intermediate, advanced, and open. Open are the people who go to the finals. Everyone else, they still get prizes and stuff like that. Awesome. So seriously, if you climb the easiest level of stuff, you have a chance to win something and feel really good about yourself and have a good time. And then we take the top 6 out of all those people, and they compete in the finals. And that's where the true athletes come out. And that's where you see some crazy stuff. And that's where you're like, oh my God, you could hold on to that like that? You know? And it blows your mind. And it was just an exciting show. We had heartbreak. We had excitement. Unfortunately, someone hurt their ankle, and then there was a tie for first place, and the guy was one hold away from beating another guy. It was crazy. It was
I heard
every range of emotion.
I heard it was that tiebreaker one of ours and someone else who wasn't one of ours.
It was a crowd favorite, factory favorite. And he was one hold away from winning it all.
I think we saw one of those videos on Instagram. I want to say we did.
Probably did.
We saw.
And they're just crazy. Like all the different things that they have to do. Like people think rock climbing is just, you put one hand on this hold, you put the next one on the other, you go up, like there's, I was amazed to see even in the easier routes how, moving to the side, you're in you're in a little bit of a cave and you got to come up and around and go on top. And then you, some routes you have to jump to
literally
the next handhold, and that's all to the nth degree for the competitors in those really difficult routes.
It's fascinating to watch. It's really exciting, and it's kind of mind blowing too at the same time. If you've never done it or seen it, it's just exciting sport.
How many competitions are there in a year that factory conducts?
At our facility, we do 2 a year. So we do like a children's comp in the fall, and then we do kind of our main comp, the Crush Comp, in April, which is our anniversary month. So we were celebrating our 6th year being open and just having the best competition we've ever had.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really fun.
I think we talked a little bit about this off air, but how many kids do you see usually in the factory? Do kids usually come in at all? Or?
We do have certain kids, athlete kids, who come in pretty frequently. For the most part, we do try and cater our gym to kind of the young adult, college age, older crowd. Rock climbing gyms in general, since they opened, have always kind of veered towards, come have your birthday party here, come have your event here. And we kind of wanted to go a different route with that.
Yeah.
We didn't want our gym to be running around with the kids. Of course, no offense to kids.
No.
We would much prefer children athletes who are very passionate about the sport than trying to make an easy buck off a group of 50 kids who are dangerously running under other climbers and causing a ruckus.
We've seen that.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think it's really important to recognize that for the safety of both parties, both kids and adults, that having a place for kids to run around and roam free and just have fun and learn those basic fundamentals of climbing, maybe at a facility where other kids are learning, and they're going to be learning with amongst their peers and things like that.
Exactly.
And they can excel there. Even they can be advanced in that area as well.
Right.
But then we've been in a facility where kids were kind of running around. You didn't feel confident climbing with a kid running underneath you, and it's just not. I don't blame
you. I think the minimum age for factory is 8, right?
8 years old.
8 years old. Yeah. I can recall, we don't see 8-year-olds in there very often, but I remember there was one night specifically we went and there were, I don't know, the boys were probably like, 10 or something. And watching them is so cool. It is the coolest thing. I learned so much from those
crazy.
kids.
There's some kids who just crush it.
Yeah.
So strong, effortlessly.
And their parents were just chilling, but encouraging them to be better.
Yeah.
They weren't really, they were having fun, but they were taking it pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Like it was serious to them, but to see how they can manipulate their body and their flexibility. Oh my goodness. It's so cool.
Mind blowing. Yeah.
It really is.
And I think when you do rock climbing and you learn and you grow, you learn really quickly that if you just go and attack something, sometimes there's room for that. But if you just go and attack it and you're reckless about it, you're not going to get it. You're really not going to get it. And you have to be calculated. You have to be. I think it's really interesting. You almost have to be focused as possible, but also as not stressed about it as possible.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
I call it like the flow zone.
Yeah.
You kind of get lost in this zone. I know for me personally, if I approach any route, if I'm upset or if I'm angry at it, which, in fitness is a kind of a good thing. Like you want that adrenaline. You want to be pumped up before you do like a PR or something like that. In climbing, I find if I push that envelope too hard, I'm going to go through the climb too fast. I'm going to slip my foot somewhere and I'm going to fail. And so it's like you have to find that sweet spot where you kind of don't care. Yeah. And you just go for it.
Yeah. And you have to be
really
as
interesting.
Calm as you can be while still being turned on the whole time.
Exactly.
Like your core has to be on, your grip has to be on. In weightlifting, especially with bodybuilding, your goal is to pump up the muscle as much as possible to get that blood flow to the muscle and to build and swell it up with lactic acid and all those things. And people will take supplements for it, and they'll take pre-workout and all this stuff to get that pump.
Yeah.
But in rock climbing, you don't want that pump. You don't want that at all.
Not at all.
Because then you're going to end up grabbing something, holding on to it, and it's not going to hold. And so you have to not allow that heart rate to bring so much blood to that muscle.
Right.
So keeping the heart rate down, keeping yourself calm, keeping the stress away from you, so that you don't go crazy and end up. What do you guys call it when you're just your arms are dead and
Getting
you're just
pumped? That's what we call it, literally. Yeah.
See, and
Too
that's
pumped. Yeah.
It's amazing that can mean something so good. Like, I'm so pumped, so pumped.
You don't want to be pumped. Yeah.
So that's actually interesting. What you coming from a gym facility and seeing how rock climbing has all of its specific athletic qualities to it. How can someone blend doing fitness in the swole corner,
right,
as well as on the wall? How have you seen a good blend of doing those things?
That's a very common question, and I think a lot of people who are coming up new in rock climbing because maybe they're impatient or maybe they want to see results quicker, whatever it is. So a lot of times they're like, well, if I start lifting, is that going to benefit me? And at the end of the day, the only thing that's really going to benefit you is climbing and being patient and taking that journey as smart and slowly as you possibly can. But for the most part, if you're in swole corner and you wanted to get jacked up, what you probably want to focus on is core strength and probably explosive leg motions and keeping your calves and your hamstrings and your glutes healthy, which a lot of climbers neglect. And they're super important.
Your hips, too. There's the mobility of your hips to be able to go onto the wall, come off the wall, and
hug the wall.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things you could do to preventative, like shoulder movements. Climbing in general is very hard on your posture.
Yes.
So you might see, like, when people have been climbing for a few hours at the gym, they're like hunched over, hunchback of Notre Dame. There's a lot of things, a lot of precautions you could take to prevent that posture issue and to keep your shoulders healthy and to climb with proper form. And you'll see results quicker. You'll build up the right muscle groups, and hopefully the goal is to stay injury free.
Yeah,
because that's the big thing with climbing. If you're injured, you're not improving.
And you can definitely pull your shoulder, pull your lat, you can pull a bunch of things climbing.
Pulled it all,
and
tendons, everything.
It's awesome too because you were able to use starting strength as a resource, right?
Right.
And they are all about form. You get diagrams as far as how symmetrical you need to be. And it's crazy to think as when we train athletes of other sports like fighting, you do not want to be symmetrical. You actually want to have the rounded shoulder to protect your face. You need to be off center. You need to make sure you're never symmetrical. Otherwise, you're just going to get punched and smacked in the middle of the face.
That.
And even with baseball, you're never going to be hitting the bat on both sides. You're only going to be throwing the ball with one arm and catching with the other one. And so, as far as what you do in the gym, it's learning how to excel at those things, but also learning how to come in and out of it.
Right.
Because for your overall health, it's not good that one side of your body is so much stronger than the other side. It's not good that you're completely off of symmetry. And for rock climbing, I'm sure it is better to have those forward to be able to create that forward shoulder, so you get a longer reach.
Right.
You have more room to play with. You have more manipulation of coming forward and backward. But if you don't know how to come out of that, then you just have a whole world of trouble.
Because of course you are going to operate in that position a lot, and that's why your body kind of naturally does that. But if you build that hunchback over and it becomes a permanent thing, you're going to start climbing with your deltoids and your chest, which is definitely not. It's supposed to be very back focused in your lats and your scapula. And so as soon as you start climbing like that, that's when the issues in your shoulders occur. That's where your elbow pain comes from. And all that tightness in your chest and your neck all comes down to your fingers. It's all connected in like a pulley system.
Yeah.
So it's going to just create issues down the road.
And I can imagine it would also create just a lot of breathing issues also. You're climbing in high altitude and you do have that forward shoulder. You're closing off just so much ability to breathe properly and things like that.
Breathing is crucial in this sport. Of course, in any athletic thing, it's crucial. To live, it's crucial.
Yeah.
But climbing, if you don't, and I see it all the time when people are trying to do a really hard route, their face is turning red because they're holding their breath.
They're holding their breath.
It's like, man, you got to breathe with that movement, and it just brings more success.
That was something I learned so quickly.
Easier.
I mean, breathing technique in the gym is so different from breathing technique when you're climbing.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
And it's I don't say this. I don't think I've said this on the podcast before, but I do say this with my clients. Like breathing and your muscles and your body, like it is all connected. If you breathe fast, your heart rate's going to go fast, and then your muscles are going to fatigue faster. If you breathe slow, your heart rate will slow down. And there's this dance between your heart rate and your breathing, because if you're using your muscles, your heart rate is going to end up trying to go up, and so your breathing will follow it. But if you kind of take control of your breathing and you slow your breathing down, well, then the heart rate's going to start following that.
Calms down,
so you have to, whether or not you spend all your time focusing on that while you're climbing, is up to you. But you have to recognize that there's an importance there.
Right.
There is an absolute importance there. Have you, when you rock climb, have you ever had to go back to older routes and just been like, man, I was climbing a little bit too much with my muscle there. Like I want to go back and really work on the form, really work on the breathing and things like that.
So what climbing is too, a lot of it, especially outside, is what we call beta, is how you climb the rock climb. So beta could include something as easy as, oh, you go left, oh, you go right, oh, you go left, and you're at the top. And it could be like, oh, it could also be complex where like, oh, if I put my toe on this crystal and I twist my right knee just a little bit in, it'll bring my hip closer to the wall, and then I can make this next move. So every little thing, especially outdoor climbing, when you want to succeed, it's broken down into these tiny, tiny microcosms of how the body operates as a whole. Yeah. And just literally the smallest angle and how you change your plane of tension on the rock could affect every bit of outcome.
Yeah.
So it's just complete, and it's almost mentally draining. It gets really annoying to how much you think about it. It's like, wow, there's so much to think about. And it gets to the point where it's just like you're going beyond just doing like a physical action at this point. You're literally breaking your body down and seeing what needs to be done to make you succeed.
Yeah.
It's complete body awareness.
And I think that along with the confidence that's built when you do all of those things and you get the reward of completing the route, just increases in the importance of those things as you continue on.
It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
When all that stuff comes together and you succeed.
So you joined, sorry, this was I want to get back to that story with you and the owners. So you started with the owners when they had just started 3 months ago. Or sorry, 3 months into the factory.
Right.
Not 3 months ago. 6 years. 6 years.
I wish.
What was their vision for the gym? Did they ever talk to you in length about what they wanted to see happen?
Yeah. Well, I think when Louis originally opened the gym, they lived in the city of Orange, the Silverado area. And I think they just originally wanted a facility for people to come and train. And at the time, there was no gym in Orange. I mean, we had Rock City and Anaheim. Eventually, Center 1 and Santa Ana opened up, but Orange was just kind of an open market.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, you know what? Why don't we open a little side business, have some people come in? He's kind of one of the founding fathers, so to say, of route setting. So he's like, I want to set some routes, and I want people to come and enjoy them. So he opened up his own little gym. And what started off really small eventually kind of got out of hand. And I mean, the plan was to always keep expanding and make the facility better. And we did, and we expanded in 4 different phases, which you look at the gym now, you'll never be able to see it. But if anyone who's climbed there since 2012 knows how small it used to be. And so eventually, it kind of got to this place, I would say maybe about a year and a half ago, where it was like, okay, there's too many people here now. It went from being a thing that it was really hard to get people through the doors to it being like, okay, we need to kind of do like the Disneyland effect and turn some people away and let the crowd thin out a little bit. So
what do you think was what caused all that?
I think there's a few reasons, but I think the main reason was our route setting program and not just our quality control of the route setting, but how frequently we were changing routes.
Yeah.
Because I think in order to get your population excited about climbing at your gym, you have to constantly keep them entertained. Climbers they need new stuff every week. They want to keep coming. The reason they come back for more is because they know there's going to be new stuff.
Yeah.
And so our old route setting program, it was kind of sporadic. The owner was mostly doing it all himself. So and on top of running multiple businesses, it's hard to have a consistency with route setting.
Yeah.
Eventually, he was able to step back a little bit, implement a program where we could run it consistently, set 3 times a week. And I think once we kind of got in that flow, that's when we kind of started to blow up a little bit. And we're not like a huge, crazy gym by any means, but
but we've noticed that was one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to come, was just not only the frequency in which you guys route set, but the variety in which you guys route set, the variety of different levels, and how frequently do you actually route set? Explain that to listeners.
Our crew, we do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
And so we're setting 3 times a week. We're changing out every section of the gym, and we're offering something for complete beginners as well as people who are way stronger than I'll ever be. And so it's this fine balancing act of providing enough for everybody.
Have you ever been there with the route setters when they're route setter, or are you one of the route setters?
I am one of the route setters.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
So I route set.
So when you route set, what are the things that are going through your own mind?
Movement. You're thinking about climbing movement nonstop. And I think a lot of people, when they see a set, they're like, oh, do you guys have a map that you draw out before you put the routes on? Or they don't quite understand that every time you put a hold or hand hold up, you're doing it with the intention of forcing someone's body into a certain position or into a certain movement.
Yeah.
And that only really comes with climbing experience. So there's no map, there's no thing we draw out. We look at the angle of the wall, we look at what type of rocks or holds we could use to put on the wall, and that kind of determines like, well, I have this angle, I have this hold, I could probably force someone to do like a cool jump move or a weird cross move.
Yeah.
And so from there you kind of just build around it.
Yeah,
so you're the one we gotta. You're the one we gotta think good and bad thoughts about. Huh?
Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's so cool to see that too. Seeing the routes change every so often. Sometimes I think I didn't even know this wall was capable of doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this route was capable of being like this. What the heck?
It's really wild. Yeah, you can get really creative, and that's part of the fun of getting good and improving. Is you have this whole arsenal of movement that. You started off really basic, like up, down, left, right. Yeah. And now you're jumping, you're crossing, you're slapping slopers and like doing all this crazy stuff. And it's part of the fun.
It's awesome too, because it's an art in and of itself, but you're creating workouts, you know, in quote, air quote, workouts for people to do. And the biggest difference between maybe a trainer just coming up with a really good workout or a CrossFitter coming up with a really good workout is that you are creating a pattern for someone to follow that is going to require an insane amount of technique in order to do. And it's not just going to be, how hard can you go through this, or, how much are you going to sweat after this or anything. But it's like, no, all of the things that we talked about, how can you break your body down to the grip and the heart rate and the movement and technique, all those things to be able to complete what I've set before you.
At every level, too.
At every level, yeah.
That's true, yeah, every level.
No, that's
awesome. It's a really interesting industry, too, for route setting. And we're lucky at the factory, our owner, because he's so involved in the route setting industry, which is a huge industry that very little people know about. It's very in the shadows. Not a lot of people know what it's about, know. And so we kind of have this place for creative freedom where we have the time and the resources to get really creative and really weird with it.
Yeah.
Whereas some other gyms, unfortunately, they don't have as much invested in their program, you don't get the same experience. You get very basic climbs, or they're like, we can make a move harder by making this hold really far and making people have to jump. And you're like, okay, that's cool, but it's not very creative.
Yeah.
And so we have this weird space where like we could really get you guys into some funky movement and try new stuff out. And I really think that's what kind of helped put our gym aside. And most people, and I am very biased, of course, but when they talk about the factory, they're like, yeah, we come here because of the route setting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We're lucky enough to have a team of route setters where we're just like, we want to constantly critique each other, push each other to do better, and just really provide an exciting experience for anyone who comes into our gym, whether you're a complete beginner or you want to take this really serious.
Yeah, and we had gone and visited another gym. We won't name any names or anything,
of course.
But we recognized that difference. We recognized the difference not only in the community, which wasn't bad at the other gym, but we just knew that there was more of a focus of that among the actual members,
right?
Because it's different when you're working at a facility and you are that way. You are focused on community, but when you're able to create that in the members themselves, that just speaks so much louder.
Yeah.
And then also the variety of routes to where we had gone and done a few routes, and it was almost like there wasn't enough of a bridge between beginning and advanced to feel like you were climbing towards that. Whereas I feel like the factory has so much bridge where you can be on the same level of difficulty of a route, but it have another aspect of climbing, like maybe different holds. It's just as difficult as the other one, but it's difficult in another way.
Exactly.
And so you've got all these opportunities to learn, all these opportunities to grow in different ways, in different areas of the gym. You've got a green tag that's straight up. You've got a green tag that's under, like you got to be upside down right when you start. A green tag where you're going to be, there's just so many different varieties of ways to learn. And that's something that's definitely set you guys apart in what we've seen.
Our goal is to make sure you guys are never bored and you're constantly
and we are
entertained.
Not. Yeah, we're definitely never bored. Oh my goodness. And the people, at least just some of the friends that we've made there, so encouraging. They've humbled us by telling us to breathe when we're up at the very top. Not sure if we're going to make it.
And it's, and you had mentioned before, like you don't want people to be jerks and like kind of, say too much to a new beginner kind of person. There's a fine line between helping someone and encouraging them and what do you guys say, like spitting beta or
beta spray?
Beta spray. Yeah. Okay. So explain what is beta spray?
So that's when it's usually a guy doing this to a female, believe it or not, when someone will be climbing and then the Mr. Know-It-All climber will come up and be like, "Hey, put your right foot here, put your left hand here and try to do this,
That's
this."
Cute.
And you're doing something that's extremely difficult and you have a stranger yelling at you what you should be doing. And at the end of the day, the person is trying to help you out and help you improve. But there are some guys out there, too, who are also, they kind of want to show off their climbing knowledge and be that guy. It kind of creates a very uncomfortable environment for some people.
Yeah, the girls just need to calm down a little bit. Let them flirt with you. It's fine.
Yeah, right.
And the guys need to, well, I remember when we first started climbing, too, we've gone together and we've climbed together, and I would try to do that for her,
right?
And she'd even tell me like, "Shut up,
yeah,
let me just
guilty."
Yes, you can feel the anger.
But just for me personally, if it was a complete stranger, I personally wouldn't tell him like, "Can you not?" Like, no, but I just get so in the zone when I'm up there and I have to focus and I try to close out just all the noise that's going on behind me. I don't know. That's just me. I get in my own head.
Then you hear Adam yelling at you.
Yeah, and I'm like,
press the foot.
Nah, let me figure it out. I have to do this.
and it's been fun too because like I'm 5'11" with a relatively good reach and she's 5 foot nothing and
it's true.
With not a great reach.
It's harder for me to
and it's awesome because she's going to do a route much differently than I would.
Absolutely.
Totally.
I would do one much differently than she would. And so when you take that opportunity, I'm not so much like that. I'm not so much like let me figure it out. I'm more of the person who's like tell me what I need to know and I'll be able to do it. Like for me just accomplishing the route is one of the most
succeed.
Yeah. I got that like obstacle mentality. As long as I get past the obstacle, I'll see it as an obstacle. As long as I get past the obstacle, I'm good. And I should be focused more on the growth that happens in between. But she's definitely like, let me try to figure this out.
Yeah.
Let me try to learn
Enjoy
how
the
to
process
do this.
I do. Yeah, and I enjoy being connected to my body, and I want to figure out when I'm up there how to be connected to my body. So if I'm starting a route and I see that it's just not working out, I'll sit down for as long as it takes to figure out what I'm supposed to do and look at the route that I'm trying to be on and figure out what it takes. So,
how much when you're climbing, how much time do you usually give yourself between going and attacking a route?
Yeah, so this is another thing you see beginners screw up a lot, and it's that competitive mindset where you're like, I want to get this. And a lot of people take the rapid fire approach where it's like they'll fall and then 2 minutes later they're back on the wall trying again. Like when you're climbing, your central nervous system is firing at full speed.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. It's tiring, especially when you have bad technique. You're all over the place. I recommend waiting about at least 5 minutes in between climbs. When I'm on a climb and I know I'm close and I feel like I could probably do this in the next 1 or 2 attempts, I set a timer on my iPhone, 15 minutes. I step outside, I take my shoes off, and I just wait for that timer to go off.
That's awesome.
Wow. And you come back in with a new mindset. You stop focusing on the boulder, and you went outside, got some fresh air. Your body's like, thank you for letting me relax.
Yeah.
And that's usually a key to success, is just chilling out and not overthinking it. There's no rush. That climb's not going anywhere.
I totally appreciate that. When we first started climbing, I felt tired like I've never felt tired before. I was so exhausted, and I would even think I literally just did one route. How could I be so freaking tired from doing one route? And I don't know if you ever experienced this or if you've known anybody who experiences this, but if we're working out and then we go rock climb after, I'm like, I have so much anxiety. Like I feel so anxious being on a route. I feel like I can't complete the route. So sometimes I'll be like, okay, if we're gonna climb today, then I'm not gonna work out because I'm challenging my body in two different ways, and then it creates so much anxiety, and I won't improve the way that I want to. But yeah, I will step aside and look at the route. But stepping outside, I think I'm gonna try that
mental clarity thing.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and going back to the beta spraying too. So sometimes it's kind of like a weird flip. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I hate that this person's yelling at me right now, and then there are times where like your homies or your friends, when you hear them in the back of your head and they're screaming at you to do something. It's sometimes necessary.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And I remember like one time climbing out in Bishop, and we were night climbing on this rock climb where I had gotten to a new point on the boulder that was the furthest I've ever got. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to do this. But I thought that so much that I started freaking out, and like I was about to jump off. And my friend Mateo, the head setter at the factory, wall manager, he said, Matt, you better jump and grab that jug right now. And I didn't even think of it. And like literally next thing you know, I'm holding one hand from this jug on top of the rock.
I love it.
And all I could think is like, if he didn't say that in that moment of time, I would have overthought everything I was doing. I would have got too excited. I wouldn't have calmed down, and I would have jumped off.
Yeah.
So sometimes having that social support and people cheering you on, like when you go to a commercial gym and you're doing squats, the whole gym isn't going, come on, you can do it. You know
Right. No, for sure.
But when you're in a climbing gym, literally strangers will watch you and they'll see you struggling and they'll cheer you on. Like, come on, you got this. And like hearing that in the back of your head, it ignites something in your body. It really makes you push it that you wouldn't have done it before. So it's kind of interesting.
No, that's true. Happy medium.
And it builds this, and it does build this, again, that community of family and respect, even respect. I mean, there was one guy that Alex, I don't know his last name, I just know his first name, but he climbs at night, and he's just this crazy, awesome dude that climbs way better than I could ever imagine climbing, and there's this natural he's hanging out with the guys who all climb really well, so I'll just stick over here, and I'll do my green and red tags while they're off playing on blue and gold now, all the new fun gold. But he just came up and said hi. He's like, hey, I've seen you guys around for a while. What's your name? Hey, my name is this. Later on, he was in the swole corner, asking me for some advice and help in doing that. And like, it's just a family that when you build that camaraderie with other people, you feel like you've got your family behind you. You feel like you've got your family behind you when you're on that route that's been challenging you so much, and you do hear your buddy say that, give you the encouragement or give you that beta because he knows your journey and he knows what you're capable of and what you can do. That just makes it all the better. Yeah, it's cool to hear strangers that you haven't even met at the gym tell you, you can do it, cheer you on. Famous or something. Yeah, I'm like, all right, cool, thanks. Hey. And it's a great opportunity to meet new people too. Absolutely. When you see someone, you're encouraging them. You feel like when you're watching someone climb, you almost feel like you're on that journey with them. Like you're like hanging on every fingertip there. I hope they get it. I hope they get it. And put yourself in their body. Because you've experienced that struggle before. Yeah. And it's so funny, too, because you see new climbers and they're trying really hard and they'll literally be screaming, I can't do it. And then you just yell back at them like, I know you can do it. I know if you spent less time saying you couldn't do it, you could use that energy to make this next move. And when you see them push through that mental obstacle and get that next move, it feels so good. Not just for them, but for everyone watching and involved in it. So, and you mentioned the central nervous system, and it's so important to recognize the importance of how the central nervous system plays in, because there's so many things that can affect your CNS. Like you having a bad day, you're not going to be able to squeeze your muscles as hard. You doing this route and going every minute or 2 minutes, every route on the minute or something like that, and you're going, and you keep failing. That disappointment and that feeling of failure just gets stronger and stronger, and that you depress the body sometimes. Yeah. You depress the body, and it's not going to get better for you. It's only going to get worse until finally you end up finishing off the day with like, I feel like I wasted my day or whatever. Yeah. Like, that's a bummer. We sometimes say like today was a what do I say? this was I make my plans for next time.
Yeah.
If I fail, I'll have a day where maybe I've just worked too hard earlier in the day. Maybe it's a day where we ran or worked out earlier.
Yeah.
And we'll come in and I just feel worthless.
Wiped,
but I'll still try everything out. I'll learn new routes.
I don't remember what we say. I don't know
what I say, but it's like this is the day that we're going to fail and basically call out the ones that we're going to do next time, and
That's
the next
good.
time we'll fly by it and totally do it.
That's a great mindset to have.
And it just shows you don't have to do this route today unless of course you're taking it down the next day.
Right. Then the pressure's on.
Then the pressure's on for sure. But yeah, hey, one more question I really wanted to ask, and I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but nutrition for rock climbing.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the key points with nutrition for rock climbing that maybe don't get talked about enough?
There's so many, but the first and foremost is people need to stop drinking and eating sugar and just stop. It's so bad.
just stop it. Don't do it.
I prefer when I'm like super focused and super excited, which right now I'm not too focused on training. I'm living a pretty indulgent life, drinking too many beers, eating too much food. But when I'm completely focused and dedicated to rock climbing, it's the typical kind of high fats, low carb, high protein type deal. I feel eating a lot of peanuts, a lot of eggs, a lot of really fat rich foods helps me a lot in climbing. Yeah. And focusing less on bread and pasta. Not saying those things are the devil, but I really feel like the high fats helps a lot. Not saying
that those things are the devil.
They're not the devil. Sugar is the devil.
Yes.
Like stop. It's so bad. I'm saying that with a can right here that has like 28 grams of sugar in it. But it's just funny because working at the factory, we offer like a lot of zero sugar drinks, but there's also some that
I know. Yeah, thank you.
It's the best.
As soon as we found out you guys had Zevia, we were like, we're staying here.
Yeah, right.
Forever.
But then you see someone who gets like a tall can, a really strong climber who'll get like a tall can of Arizona iced tea, and then we'll get like a complete cookie. They're literally about to eat 60 grams of sugar. Yeah. And I'm like, I know how capable you are of being an athlete. Stop eating that stuff. But I would say, honestly, at the end of the day, eat what makes you perform well. And everyone's body has a different reaction to your type of nutrition. But I feel just eating a lot of good, natural, whole foods, when I'm training multiple days in a row, I feel less stress in my body, less inflammation, and I just feel better. I could climb multiple days in a row. I could train core multiple days in a row. And just be at the peak,
You mentioned right up. What were you going to say?
I was going to say there are obvious reasons as to why sugar is not beneficial to climbing, but can you explain specifically why it's not beneficial?
This is all personal experience. I'm definitely no nutritional background whatsoever, but I feel like if when I personally am eating a lot of sugar and I'm eating a lot of refined carbohydrates like bread, pasta, rice, I feel a lot of inflammation and you're going to feel that a lot, of course, in your muscles, but also in your tendons. And your tendons, both in your hands and your feet, at the end of the day, are what need to be taken care of. Yeah. And I just feel, and I don't know the science behind it, but when I'm eating sugar and I'm eating a lot of bread, the next day I wake up, that's where the pain is. Whereas I'm eating a high-fat, low-carb diet, I feel great, and I feel like I can do it multiple times a day. Yeah. And hydration comes into key, and, of course, your micronutrients and all that good stuff, I feel like helps keep your tendons healthy. And at the end of the day, that's what you don't want to ruin your tendons.
You say that you normally climb in the morning. Do you eat before you go and climb, or do you usually wait and eat afterwards?
I'm not a big fan of working out while fasting unless it's like cardio. Okay. For some reason, I like doing cardio on an empty stomach. But when it comes to climbing, I really like to have a nice meal in me, let it kind of burn off a little bit, something light, and then hop on the wall.
Okay, what would that meal look like?
I guess it depends on the time of the day. Okay. But I usually do like oatmeal for breakfast with some nuts and some peanut butter, just a lot of fats and stuff like that. And I feel like it's really light. And if I'm super healthy mode, it'll usually be like something involving avocado, like a salad or just something really light on the stomach. No rice, no carbs.
And what are the benefits that you've seen in a higher fat diet in the performance on the wall?
First of all, there's so much more performance in your life. Like cognitively, I feel like my brain functions so much better. I'm less stressed. I can just see problems in front of me and think them out. Whereas if I'm eating the devil's sugar, things are a little bit, I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. Like, I feel like my mind's more stressed out. And I'm not working to my full capability. So just in general, I feel eating that type of diet is really good functioning for brain power. And I feel like when it comes to athleticism, you just have a lot of clean burning energy. And when you're done the next day, I mean, you're still going to feel a little bit sore, but you feel so well energized that you're ready to do workout number 2, whether that's cardio or core. Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that having a high fat diet would weigh you down. But it's the exact opposite. Yeah. You feel like it's just going somewhere. Like it's going to the body. But the exact opposite is there when you eat stuff like bread and sugar and high carbohydrate kind of a diet. You feel like it's not going somewhere. It's all just floating your stomach up. It's important to realize that higher fat can absolutely improve your performance.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you big into caffeine?
Oh, I'm completely addicted to caffeine. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a big coffee drinker, or what do you
big
usually?
Coffee drinker and a big like Zevia, Bruna, all the sugar-free type caffeine stuff.
So do you consume a good amount of caffeine even when you're religiously trying to be healthy and like attack?
So much caffeine.
And you know what? I do appreciate stuff like the Zevia, because like right now I'm drinking a Celsius and it's got like, let me look at this real quick. It's got vitamin C, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, all this stuff. Yeah. Luckily not like thousands %, because we've definitely seen that, but all this stuff that's in here. And to be honest, if I have already had coffee before drinking one of these, or if I drink one of these and it's just one of those days, like I'll get anxiety. I'll just get straight up anxiety.
That's what I was going to say to your point too, Jaylene, is like I'll drink caffeine to a point. When I'm training, like doing supplementary training, like whether it's strength or core, and I don't have to worry too much about stuff, I'll drink a bunch of caffeine. But before I climb, and because I'm just like a sweatier person in general, I find drinking caffeine, like it makes me anxious, it makes me sweat.
Yeah.
And rock climbing and sweat do not go well together.
Not at all. So,
absolutely. Coffee kind of dehydrates you, kind of makes you sweaty. And so there's a fine line of like, when are you going to, and it goes back to being in that zone, that flow zone is like, where's the balance in my life when it comes to climbing and training and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the Zevia energy product too, because it only has caffeine.
Right.
And it's only 120 milligrams of caffeine as opposed to like 300.
Yeah.
So it's this
sweet spot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, bless you guys. That's so much for me, man.
Yeah.
And we've sometimes shared caffeine, but
being all of 5 foot nothing, that like hits me so hard, so fast.
Dump truck of caffeine.
I'm like, whoa, 120 milligrams.
But even learning more about the company and knowing like they're not even putting like caffeine and anhydrous, synthetic caffeine. They're getting the caffeine from natural sources.
It's good sources.
So it's
all about it.
It's something that there's a fine line, obviously, right? We don't want to do too much caffeine because we don't want to hit that point to where caffeine can absolutely help us engage our central nervous system and help us on the wall. But there is a point to where we can be too amped up. We can be too turned on to where all that stress will come. The heart rate's going to go up. The anxiety is going to come. So definitely keeping that in mind is important.
Yeah.
Also, how many calories do you ever track calories? Do you ever?
Man, I don't really track calories. I'm kind of a big dude, so I figure a lot of what I eat gets burned off. There was a point where I was tracking calories when I was like really full on paleo mode.
Okay. And
a typical meal for me when I was trying to cut weight would probably be close to about 1,500 per day.
Wow.
But now I truly believe as long as you're eating like whole foods that are packed with nutrients, that at the end of the day you don't really need to be that obsessive about it. But it also depends on what your goals are and how serious you are. I was never like a crazy shredded bodybuilder by any means. I was more so curious. I was like, what am I eating every day? And where am I at?
See, that's really cool. Yeah, I feel like more people should track for those reasons. Unfortunately, that's not the case always, but that's cool.
And we got to be burning a crazy amount of calories because it's known right at closing time. Everyone's like, want to go to In-N-Out?
Oh my God.
It's like, it's time to go to In-N-Out.
Yeah. Going back to Kenny, the guy who works at the factory, I mean, that guy eats Panda Express and Del Taco every day, and he's shredded. And it's just because you climb. I
Cheer.
know, right?
I
wish I could do that. It'd be so awesome. But
Man.
I guess it just goes to how much calories you burn and goes to body type and genetics and stuff. So.
And being
genetics,
so
absolutely.
chill and cool, like there's probably not an ounce of body fat put on his body from stress.
There's no stress in that man's body whatsoever.
It's so funny. You could be on the wall and he's like, you can do it. Just so chill.
Like you failed it. Like, hey, did you get it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get it. You didn't get it yet. You got this, man.
Yeah, right?
Oh, Kenny.
He's a master, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, super excited and happy about having you on this episode.
Of course, yeah.
And
Thank
I hope
you.
that we were able to just reveal another side of the factory. What are some ways that we could get in touch with, and the listeners can get in touch with you and the gym, the Factory Bouldering?
Well, check us out online, thefactorybouldering.com. Follow us through Instagram at the Factory Bouldering. Same with Facebook.
Cool.
Look at some pictures of our community. Come check it out. Don't be afraid to try it. It's a lot of fun. We just got new AC for the summer, so it's a nice way to cool down, get a little workout in.
Yeah.
We're going to be eventually rolling out some like private instruction and some classes
Sweet.
to kind of further your climbing experience. And we're going to have a summer tee coming out and some hoodies and all sorts of cool stuff. And we're always trying to grow as a company, and we really do listen to feedback, whether it's a angry 1-star Yelp review or someone who's recommending something utterly insane. Drop something in our suggestion box. Send us an email. I'll answer it personally. We love to talk to people who are interested in climbing, scared to try it, never did it, but always wanted to try it. So.
And you guys are really good too about having this whole table of pamphlets of local businesses that offer other aspects of fitness,
Absolutely.
like
To help.
yoga and other things like that.
Yeah.
So
Solid.
Super excited to have you on here, and thank you again for being here.
Of course. It's been fun.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. We absolutely did.
Yes.
And if you want to enjoy more episodes and more resources, visit www.actfitnessacademy.com. And also be sure to subscribe to this podcast so that you'll be updated when more new episodes arrive.
Make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.